I've been playing violent video games since the age of 13, and while they haven't turned me into a crazed killer, I remember wondering a few years back if violent video games had desensitized me to violence in real life. I quickly came to the realization that no, they hadn't, because, repeat after me, video games aren't real life. And while I do find the concept of murder in a video game wrong, no matter what the circumstance, I'm not really going to flip my shit over accidentally hitting a pedestrian in Saints Row. This is partially why I found the Hatred controversy in 2014 so ridiculous. Not only is it a fucking video game, but you're not going to convince me that games where killing innocent people is optional, and you do it anyways, are somehow better than a game where the sole purpose is to kill innocent people. There's a bit of hypocrisy in that train of thought as well, as most games give you a very thin excuse to justify murder. In my mind, an artificially constructed reason to kill is not better than no reason to kill. Now, while I will defend Hatred's right to exist, it does look like shit. I still haven't played it, nor do I think I ever will, simply because it doesn't look very good. And to be honest, from the game's trailer, it seems to reek of immaturity, likely because it was made by edgelords for edgelords. Hatred certainly doesn't have a mandate to make some sort of statement on video game violence, nor should it, but the question becomes, does a game like this exist? Is there any game that handles video game violence with a touch of sophistication and doesn't delude itself into thinking that its violence is justifiable? The answer is yes. Enter Kane and Lynch, Dead Men. Released in 2007 and brought to us by IO Interactive, the developer who gave us our favorite bald assassin, Dead Men tells the story of death row inmates Adam Kane Marcus and James Seth Lynch. Yes, you did hear that right. Kane and Lynch is a game that stars two people in prison about to be executed for their crimes. On the surface, this alone is what separates Dead Men from the countless third-person adventure and crime games where you play as a rough but redeemable hero. Kane and Lynch are scumbags, two deplorable killers who were at one time normal people, but slipped into darkness they couldn't get out of. This is the most obvious observation one can make of the game, but one with large merit. Dead Men doesn't give a shit whether or not you like its protagonists. It's a game that merely presents two flawed people and isn't preoccupied with whatever judgment you may cast on them, or even if you can relate to them. With that said, that's what Kane and Lynch are. They're people, and everything they've done up to the point where you start the game has impacted them in one form or another. Kane is a broken man, haunted by the death of his son, and Lynch is a schizophrenic who would be haunted by the death of his wife, except he probably killed her himself. Lynch is especially interesting because the only person he seems to fear is himself. Even with his medication, he can snap at any moment and kill everyone in sight. Afterwards, he seems to regret his actions, but whether or not such a response is genuine is ultimately up to the player to interpret. Kane is the more mentally grounded of the two, knowing right from wrong clearly and responding accordingly when Lynch steps out of line.
But why did you kill the hostages?
Why? What do you mean? They were waking up. They wouldn't stay still. I just tried to stop them.
Don't fucking talk to me. You just get your shit together, you hear me?
But at least we got away.
Nobody gets away with what you just did.
Even though Kane knows what's right and what's wrong, he doesn't really care. He knows most of the things he's done in his life are wrong, but they don't have any immediate effect on him. The only death that phases him comes later on in the game, and one could argue that he's more mad because he sees himself as an incompetent loser shitbag, and this certain death proves him right, rather than him actually being mad that this person is dead. It's impressive that in the short amount of time we spend with Kane and Lynch, we're able to get so much out of the characters, as the game avoids many of the pitfalls of contrived, relatable morality concerning crime game protagonists. The game's antagonists, the Seven, a group of mercenaries, are also very interesting. They bust Kane and Lynch out of prison and assign Lynch to be Kane's watchdog. The Seven accuse Kane of leaving them to die on a mission and stealing their money, giving him a week to recover said money. This seems like a generic setup, but I think there's a little more to it. To me, the Seven seem more offended by Kane betraying them more than him stealing their money. They pride themselves on being a group where loyalty stands tall, but when the time comes and that loyalty within the group is put to the test, it crumbles. I enjoyed this tad bit of hypocrisy from the villains because it's human. When it was time to put their necks on the line for a comrade, they bailed, and all their talk of being a fair organization turned out to be nothing but bullshit. Something we probably already knew, but confirmation was a sweet payoff. The reason Deadman can present these concepts and character actions, and the reason it does them so well, is because of how mature the game is. That word, mature, is one I've thrown around a lot in the past few videos, so let me explain what that really means. Kane and Lynch is a game with tact and discretion. It doesn't play anything for unnecessary laughs, and there's no explicitly cool moments to awe at, nor should there be in a game dealing with this sort of graphic content. It also doesn't pervert or exploit its violence and aesthetic to get a reaction out of the player. In the same way it presents the concept of two criminals as main characters, it presents its violence and leaves all of its cards on the table for the player to interpret and react however they want. For example, in most games, a woman being physically assaulted by a man would be a moment that the game wants you to pay attention to, regardless of whether or not it does it right. In Kane and Lynch, it's treated as more of an afterthought, with the emphasis of the scene revolving more around the game being true to the characters' personalities.
I'm surprised to see you. Did my security let you in?
I let myself in.
Does my father know you're here?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
So, what made you come crawling back?
Yoko, I need your help here.
And why would I help you? You wouldn't.
That's enough.
Whoa, she's all limp. I didn't even hit her that hard.
It just makes our job easier.
Now, nothing being played for laughs in the game doesn't mean it's not funny, because Kane and Lynch demonstrates another vital element of maturity, and that's levity. Deadman can be hilarious when it wants to be, with all the game's comedy being derived from Lynch. He's boorish and obnoxious, and it's great.
Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck! Oh, fuck! My ears are bleeding! I can't take any more of this shit!
What happened up there?
Shit, I just tried to stop her.
Is she dead?
I don't know. Guess so. I was aiming for her leg.
Ah, fuck! You fucking idiot! I can't believe you! What the fuck is the matter with you? Do I get to talk to them?
Of course you do. Yeah, like you can fucking believe that.
Fucking bum!
As I previously said, on the surface, just having criminals as heroes is one of Deadman's standout qualities, but its true success is how it handles them within the context of their situation and how it characterizes them. It's important to note that this effect wouldn't have been so pronounced without Kane and Lynch's fantastic in-game cinematics. With its clean color palette and shot composition, I felt like I was watching a movie at many points. And this is where the video gets fun. Some of you may have noticed that I've barely shown any actual gameplay of Deadman, and anyone who's played the game knows exactly why. Kane and Lynch is not a good game. Jim Sterling once wrote an article about Kane and Lynch titled Kane and Lynch, the best game that ever sucked. And he's right on the money because at best, Kane and Lynch is a below average third-person shooter, and at worst, it's complete bullshit. Kane and Lynch is a brilliantly clunky affair, with every element you'd expect in a third-person shooter bastardized in some form or another. The gunplay is terrible, with insane amounts of recoil, and some weapons having what I like to call dynamic damage, where identical enemies will be killed almost instantly and others won't. Some of the weapons are also flat out broken. There were enemies at the end of the Venezuela level that took no damage at all despite being shot in the face. The field of view is atrocious, and I never got used to how bad the zoom aiming was. The game has a cover system, but surprise, it's also broken. You get locked into positions at times when you don't want to be, and be looking in the incorrect way while trying to fire, despite actually looking the right way. Kane and Lynch has a partner AI system, but the partner AI is also shit and can get stuck sometimes in random locations, which halts your level progress. The partner system has sharing and commands, but they're not fleshed out enough, and frankly, the AI isn't smart enough for this to be a fun mechanic. Because all of this is not game-breaking enough, here is something that actually breaks the game. And that's Kane and Lynch. Never have I felt such respect for a title, despite knowing that it's terrible. I didn't enjoy any of the gameplay, ever, but I still cared about the story and everything that was going on. Sadly, the sophistication it shows with its narrative elements never translates to gameplay, even though it does try. But I wouldn't have Kane and Lynch any other way. I'm confident that in the hands of any other developer, this game would not have existed. In the hands of any other developer, Adam Marcus and James Lynch would have been shitty one-off villains in a by-the-book sequel with their characterization neutered in favor of more generic villain tropes. The violence would have been corrupted, and the steps it takes in the storytelling and maturity department vanished in favor of an excuse, a justification to kill dozens of enemies while you save the day. Kane and Lynch is honest, and that's all I really needed it to be. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and tell me about your experiences with this game, or your impressions of the game in the comments. Peace out, take care. And all their talk of being a fuck me. As I previously said, on the surface, just having criminals as heroes is one of Dead Mints. Kane and Lynch, Dead Mints.